Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome to today's episode of Angels Don't Lie. I'm your host, Jeannie Street, and today you're in for a deep dive into what it really looks like to start to step into your power and run your life according to what your soul's purpose is. And my guest today, Michelle Garside, who is the co-owner of Soul Camp Creative, which you'll have to check her out. She comes in to the conversation with all her doors open, meaning she's letting us in to see the messy parts before she got to the yumminess of who she truly is in this world. I think it's a very powerful episode for us to lean into, to see like so many women entrepreneurs that I have worked with have come from this place like they had to have it all together before they stepped into their purpose. They had to be perfect. And Michelle really offers us this journey to, you have to step in with who you are at the moment in order to unlayer and start to peel back the things that no longer serve you, and then get into that deep dive of, okay, here I can go a little further, here I can show up a little bit more, here I can release the struggles that I'm having. And she talks very openly about her journey through addiction and today, where she's standing with this fabulous company and all of the women that she is helping along the way. So I know you're going to enjoy it. So let's get to it.
When she smiles at you, she'll say, angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. No, no, angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. No, 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 no.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
How are you?
So good. So grateful to be here with you.
I was just going to say the same thing. So you just grabbed those words right out of my mouth.
Well, I always, Jeannie, always in your presence, I feel calm and put at ease, and someone like me who's go, 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 go. It is such a beautiful reprieve to be still for a moment and be present. And you really give me that profound gift of that. So thank you.
You're welcome. I want to do a little fun thing with you, and I don't know if you're interested, but I feel like I want to do like interview reading. I kind of like want to kind of go in a little bit with like a reading, like, and gently have you like communicate like what that is.
Let's do it.
Cool. Because I get like this, they're showing me like this outdated version, this older version of you.
Yeah.
That was really strong, like tight, and really like, I think I shared with you, you came to an event where I shared about the counter butter and the refrigerator butter.
Yes.
Okay. So, you guys, if you guys are listening, I talk about this analogy of how we can be soft in our energy when we are like counter butter, where it spreads on toast really nicely, or we could be tight in our energy, like that refrigerator butter that doesn't melt. It just like crumbles your toast and it's no fun. So we could have fun with that later. But so Michelle, they're showing me like you used to be like really tight and like a go-getter, and like you had this like crack open. Can you share your crack open?
Yeah. So it's so interesting. I really was nonstop. I think that I'm someone with some anxiety and a lot of history of addictions and eating disorders and many different, all the beautiful things, all the stuff, and many different ways to navigate and mitigate my anxiety. And in my latter years, once I got sober and once I got abstinent, it was really work and, all my emphasis on being someone, being known, having my company being known. And it really, and I lived in New York City, and I was, had a ever-growing company. And so every night I had the opportunity to go to book launches and go to these things. And I was nonstop running back to breastfeed my first kid and then going back out. And I strived on the identity of overdoing.
I think so many women that follow me that listen in and they're energy sensitive, like you're very energy sensitive. And that whole idea of like, keep it going, like keeping up or like matching your energy to somebody else's is familiar, right? And then that next step, which is like, what did you feel like? And that's the numbness, right? We don't feel.
Yeah.
Can you share that a little bit too, like that like feeling of not feeling and why you drank? And
Yeah. I mean, in 12-step recovery, they call it a God-shaped hole, right? From a very young age, I think, I was very, very sensitive, and I was in an environment in a childhood that didn't necessarily foster that or accept that or hold that to be as precious as it was. And I grew up in chaos and danger. And so I learned to put up walls of not feeling in order to survive, really.
right.
So thank God for my walls. It's what enabled me to truly survive a very chaotic childhood and to survive a lot of hard stuff. But I don't need those walls anymore. And that, going back to your first question around what happened, COVID, like for so many people, COVID broke me open as far as my identity. We moved out of New York City. We moved to, Connecticut. I lived in this house on a cul-de-sac. Like my whole idea of myself cracked mirror. And then from that place, I got to create, what do I really want? Who do I want to become? And that version of me that has emerged and continues to emerge is much softer, much gentler, much more content with what is, instead of go, 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 go. And I think a big part of that was, yes, COVID and moving out of, my life, but also I'm a mom of two now. I have two young kids that force me to be present much of the time. And I feel really settled and at home in my life. After living so much of not enough, not enough, not enoughness, the disease of more, never enough. Like I'm really beginning to feel enough. And I think that has been a huge paradigm shift for me as well, as far as slowing down.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like the inner reflection that we were able to do on the gifts that actually did come from a really horrible thing, right?
Oh yeah.
So there's this energy where we can honor all of the people that were negatively impacted, that lost their lives, and then we can also look at what are the gifts. What about all the doctors and the nurses and the people that went into healthcare because of this, and the people that shifted their energy and moved to the suburbs like you, and started to like soften and lean in, and then start to let their guard down. Like it couldn't have come down any other way. It's just because we didn't know a different way.
Totally. Sometimes the walls need to crumble, not come down.
It's like a facade.
Yeah, totally. And, I talk a lot about the miracle in the mud, right? The medicine in the mud, and COVID being a huge mud pit, right? Like a lot of mud in those years, in these years that we're still in. But, as my friend Jen Pasteloff likes to say, she's a beauty hunter, right? She hunts for the beauty in the messiness. She hunts for the beauty in the hardship. And that's what
she's like one of my favorite people to follow.
Oh my gosh.
Literally.
Really?
Yes. We actually share, she's hearing impaired as well.
Yeah.
And so we share that, but like she's so well spoken, and it's something that I've always like seen around another woman who's come from a place of trauma or insecurity or whatever it is, stuff, and she uses her voice in such a way that it's exhilarating. Like I love that.
Amazing. She's such a beautiful person. And, she really taught me that many years ago of like, you have to hunt for the beauty. You can't just sit on your couch and everything is wonderful. Right. It's like, you have to really proactively seek it out. And even in, and especially in the hardship, the divorce, the diagnosis, the mud, evermore you need to become that beauty hunter. So yeah, especially for COVID, I really leaned on that.
So your gift, like, and I know your background, I know you've done so much amazing work in this world already. And I know you did get to work with the late Debbie Ford.
Yeah.
And I know we met you at an event, my friend and my assistant, Colleen, we met you at a breath event. And my gosh, Colleen was like head over heels because she studied under Debbie Ford too. So she was literally in love with you from the moment that she sat next to you. And it was totally inspired. Like you guys like were right together. And I was like, oh, I need to know this Michelle. I need to talk to her. So many amazing women have popped into my world from leaning in and saying yes. And it's something I had to teach myself because my walls were like, I can do it on my own. I can't trust. It's still not okay. I'm going to be judged or criticized. And so this insecurity like wrapped in and strangled a lot of my energy, which, you know, you don't know when you're there. And I know you had that experience too, because they're showing me you being like strung out. So what led you to Debbie Ford? Can you share that?
Well, so I own a company called Soul Camp Creative. It's a branding, development design agency specializing in the transformational space. So all of our clients are amazing coaches, teachers, authors, you know, holistic centers, et cetera. And it was Debbie right after Debbie had passed. So it wasn't Debbie, it was the Ford Institute.
Oh,
so
that's right. Okay.
So
yes.
yeah. So rebranding, and just creating a new moment for the Ford Institute for Kelly Kossow, who is the CEO of the Ford Institute. Debbie passed on the Institute to her and to Julie Stroud, who's the COO. And so we worked with Julie and Kelly, and it was beautiful because in that, and this is like such a gift, like for me in my life, that I get to so often experience the work of all of my clients, which is like, you know, profound and wonderful. So Kelly and Julie invited us to an intensive, 4-day intensive shadow process where, what was revealed to me in the shadow process was I had just started dating my husband, who's now my husband, and he loves to relax. He has always loved to relax. Like he loves not to have plans, to play a video game, to watch movies, to stay home. And I had such a visceral reaction to it. I was like, what's the agenda for this Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
And in the shadow process, what really came forward was this version of me who I deemed lazy, sluggish, right? And being able throughout that amazing process, and if anyone's listening, definitely check out the shadow work. It's profound and wonderful. I was able to really integrate that part of me. And that resting isn't bad, that I don't need to be binging on cookies in order to sit on the couch, that I don't need to be sick in order to sleep in. But that, laziness is not a bad thing, right? And so through that work, I was able to really integrate that, and it completely changed my relationship with my husband, right? Because I no longer saw him as this slug. I saw him as, someone exhibiting healthy self-care behaviors. But it also allowed me to begin to rest and to sit on the couch and to not have to numb out in order to do so. So the shadow work really changed my life. And then we brought Kelly and Julie in to Soul Camp. We had 300 people at Soul Camp, all doing a deep shadow work forgiveness process.
Wow.
It was amazing. So yeah, no, I love that work. And I love that work led me to Colleen and to you.
And I feel like when you start to step into your passion and your creative flow, and when you start saying yes God, yes spirit, whatever that is for you, like when we start leaning in, there's this vulnerable space where you don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And you're willing to maybe like play, but then there's this part where you have to you're like, find yourself like, I have to do this. Like this is a no brainer. Like, I don't know, breath work was like that. It was like, I I didn't want to do it. I was I was in my head. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, and then I was like, you know what? I'm here. Let me just go. And I did it. And then there's like all of these like releases, and so many different releases that you're like, wow, that was a really constraint. And
Totally.
then there's this miracle of like waking up and like feeling yourself.
The floodgates open, right?
Right?
It truly is. I, had a visceral experience. So years ago, this is like 2010. I was working, my career before starting my company was global brand development for Pfizer and Novo Nordisk and Big Pharma. So I was creating huge $billion blockbuster drugs. What are we calling this insulin? What do we want people in Latin America versus North America to think and feel about this insulin? I had begun really diving deeper into my spiritual work, outside of work, outside of the office. And I remember that like the day came where I would walk into my office and I remember thinking to myself, oh, I wish that there could just be one Michelle, not like the Michelle at work and then the Michelle at Equinox doing spiritual fitness and yelling affirmations, right? I wish that there could just be one version of me and I got to show up everywhere like that.
Right.
And that's when I really began saying yes, right, to things that I never would have said yes before. So I didn't know anyone at that point who had owned their own business. I was in a very corporate environment, rising up the ladder very, very quickly. But there was a whispering in my soul. There was a nudge from the angels. There was a push from God that there's something more, there's something more, there's something more.
Yes.
And I didn't know what it was, but I began saying yes to opportunities. And what that led me to was to very dramatically in 2010, quit my job, sell my apartment, move off to India, study with the monks at the Oneness University. And come back and start again and and I remember thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to start doing what I did at Pfizer, but do it for Gabby Bernstein. That's literally was how it all started. I'm going to do what I did at Pfizer, but do it for Patricia Moreno. And I started working with both of them, and they had communities of their own that they spread the word to. And that's how it all started in 2011.
Right.
But I said to myself, I'm going to say yes to this. I'm going to say yes to selling my apartment because I can't afford the mortgage, right? Because these constraints kept me so small. Oh, well, I have a mortgage, so
refrigerator butter.
I have to make this much money in order to pay the mortgage. So I can't do this and this and this.
Right.
Then I remember, I'll never forget, I was walking to the subway and I was like, what if I sell the apartment? The thought had just, what if I just let go?
Right.
What if I just let go? And I let go and the floodgates opened. I let go and I said yes to me. I remember I went to my corporate, my boss was the vice president, and I was like, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. And she was like, where are you going? Meaning like what other company in our industry? And I was like, I'm going off to India. And then I think I'm starting a planning agency So it was that moment. But it changed everything. It changed my life. And I did it, I said to myself, listen, if this doesn't work out, I can always go back to pharma. If this doesn't work out, I can always go back to what I know, but I have to at least give it a shot. Because I
love this conversations, like literally so much, because, for me, very similar, just like these little breakthroughs. I didn't go to India. Mine was smaller in energy. I opened a shoe boutique. In 2008 decided, 2007, I decided I'm going to open a boutique, and I got everything together, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time. I don't know, I think how old my kids were at the time. Maybe my oldest was 20 at the time, and my youngest was like in 4th grade. So, raising 4 kids, doing foster care, like doing all of making the lunches and the soups and the meals. And my husband's job, his business, kept him away. He would go to work at 3:30 in the morning and come home at 7 at night. So literally I was kind of like a single mom. I was doing everything. And I decided this weird, brave thing to open a shoe store. And, you know, he went along with me. My husband went along. He was like, all right, whatever you want to do. And I was like, did he just agree to this? And like, it always shocked me that when it was spot on, that he would come along. And then, and then I fell into, Chris Carr, because her mom came into my store and Chris had just written her first book, and I fell in love with her story. And then from her I met Gabby, and well, not in person, but in her book. But I know her, like, these people because you fall in love and you read them, and so here's all of this energy that led me to making another bold move of closing my store and opening myself up to be me and start doing healing sessions and readings. But it takes one step, and it doesn't have to be as bold as like selling your apartment or closing your shoe store, whatever that is for you. But it's just one agreement with the voice inward that's a positive, that's like getting you to be curious.
Totally.
Of like, what could be possible?
I love that so much. Yeah. I remember I was living in New York City at the time, and I would just be walking. I was just a single woman walking around. And I remember being like, all right, spirit, angels, God, direct me where to go left or go right, go down or go up. Like, and I would walk around the city in that way, truly being directed by my inner guide, by the angels, by God, and see where it led me. And sometimes it led me to just connect with someone and look at them in the eye as they passed and have that deep, human to human connection of, oh, right,
Yes.
we're all in this together. Other times, I would find a coffee shop whatever it was, and really to strengthen and remember that once you are acknowledge and attune your decisions and your choices to that flow, right? We say at Soul Camp, you go where it feels warm. Go where it feels warm. Is it left or is it right? Is it that restaurant or that restaurant? Does going to meet that person or going to that event feel like a yes, even though you don't know why? Why? Go, follow it. That's not just because. That's because.
Right.
Right.
But I kind of want to talk to like those people, those women that might be a little numb still to their own feelings because they haven't done some of the healing work, like really getting to know your feelings. If you could talk on that, like what did it take for you to start trusting what you felt was real? Because I know you're sensitive to energy, you freaking channel, and we could label you all the things, but you're just like a goddess when it comes to energy. So like,
yeah, I think that a lot of people who are empathic, sensitive, I see in 12-step recovery rooms, right? Because it is overwhelming and we feel a lot, and it's a lot, right? And so first of all, like I always say for my, I have eating disorders and I had, drug problems. I'm like, thank God I'm alive. Thank God it wasn't heroin. Thank God it wasn't like this, like, thank God for the food. Thank God for food, right? Because it kept me alive, and it kept me, even though I was numb, it kept me alive. So step one for me was always deep forgiveness and acceptance, right? Like, thank God to that binging and purging, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. So that's number one. And then when I started getting sober and abstinent, and that was my road to really beginning to accept who I was and stop numbing, I found support. And then in order to really know myself or beginning to learn myself, I will never forget, speaking of, again, walking around the city, on those walks, what I would do, those same walks I was just talking about, what I would do is I would, tap into my inner spirit to go left or go right. And then as I was going, I remember I had a notepad on my phone, like a notes app. And I would write things like, I love musical theater. I like the taste of seaweed. I like to wear bright colored leggings, like just different things about me that I knew to be true. I would write it down to begin keeping a list of who I was.
oh my
Because
God, I love that.
I literally, I'll never forget, like I love Rent. Like, I'm interested in space and the aliens. Like, truly putting it down as if I'm my 5-year-old does it now at school. I like this. I like this. It's doing the same thing when I was in my late 20s. I like this. I like this. I don't like this. I don't feel comfortable going to huge events that I was literally going to every single night, right? I don't necessarily love, being the center, whatever it was, right? But really beginning to decipher what it is, what stories about myself do I believe to be true?
Right.
And what are just stories that I've kept along the way? Because
Mm.
it, made me feel popular or better or cool or whatever, right? But who am I really? Let me get there.
Right. I think that's like so important for every human to start to realize who they are, and not in an opinionation way, but a really deep, curious way of like, this lights me up and this feels good. And like, I love that labeling.
Yeah.
What is lighting you up in your world right now? Like what is like on the fire plate right now that's like so good?
There's so much that's so good. So first I'll say, me and my husband, we really live our lives. Like our common theme is creating magic, right? So we are very, in a lot of what we do, we create an environment of magic. So like, for instance, next week is my son's birthday. We're waking him up at 4 a.m. and going to the airport and like surprising him with this big trip. And, it's like, we really, joy is at the forefront of what we do. It's like, that is our common, it's not making more money, or it's like, how can life be the most fun? How can life be the most
Love
fun?
that.
So that is like at the core of my life, like of my family, what we're all about, right? It's always, some sort of magic, like Mike, the Paw Patrol comes to our door dressed up, like out of nowhere. We have Spider-Man, and like, it's just, we're crazy and fun. And because like, life can change on a dime. So like, both me and Eric really, put magic and joy at the forefront. And then beyond that, I have so much going on next week. I'm going away. And then the week after, I'm taking a group of 17 women to Vermont for a spiritual retreat, an ignition, an incubator of powerful women. A lot of my clients are coming, which is amazing. And I get to go skiing. Like, this is literally my favorite thing in the entire world, is like the place that I truly, truly shut off my mind and tap into my heart is on the mountain, is skiing. And so my dream was like, one day I'll have this life where I can go skiing. And
I love it.
That's
Mine would be bringing a bunch of women to the beach, and like, it would be like
Totally.
the place where I let go. It's so
and everyone has
fun.
that. Like, what is the place that you love?
Yeah.
And make it your business to
Make
get
it your
there.
business. Yes, exactly. And be open to like creating it from a place of awe and inspiration,
I
right?
love that. Yeah. No, I mean, Allie and I really, I always talk about like the energy and the vibration that we created Soul Camp from was like unbelievable awe and delight that we got to do.
Can you explain a little bit, like, just so everybody understands, Soul Camp Creative?
Yes, I will.
Explain
It's a little confusing
yeah.
because one came before the other. So,
so
Soul Camp is a large event gathering, sleepaway camp for adults, where we take over kids' camps, we take over campuses, everyone stays in bunks and dorms, we all eat in the dining hall together. And instead of soccer, tennis, basketball, we have deep transformational work. We have acupuncture going on. We have a full spa. We have 50 workshops happening a day. We have incredible instructors from all over the country. And it's a smorgasbord of all things. So you want to go get a past life regression with Mira Kelly. Okay. That's happening, in the amphitheater. You want to get a reading with Jeannie. Okay. That's happening down at the infirmary, right? Like it's all happening, and it's an amazing gathering place of like-minded people. People have met their best friends there. People have had deep transformation. My husband had an incredible healing session and began doing tarot cards. This is like the vice president of technology at a startup, it's amazing. And so we have done that since 2014. We've had large events in New York, California, Chicago, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, 250 people or so. So that's how this all began. I am a brand strategist. Allie is a designer. And so the year after Soul Camp, we really joined forces and created an agency. So that became Soul Camp Creative. So we have Soul Camp, which is our event. So for instance, when we're going to Vermont, Soul Camp on the slopes. And then we have our agency, Soul Camp Creative, and that's where we create the brands and the websites and the logos and the marketing materials and make introductions out to book proposal people and agents and all of that. That's our big agency. There's 10 of us in the agency. And then we have the enchantment experience, and that's our bucket list trips that we take visionaries on. So last year we took a group of 20 women to Sedona, to the enchantment resort. In June, we're taking a group of 21 women to Costa Rica. We have rented literally a compound in the middle of the jungle. And it's just like these absolute bucket lists. So what we say, like, what has been on your dream to do? We're going to be, like on the Turtle Beach with the turtles. We're going to be ziplining through the jungle. We're going to be like everything that you can imagine. Yeah. Cause again, our whole ethos and ideology is, life is so precious. Like, what are you doing with it? If you're not living your purpose, if you are not doing the thing that is inside of you, it is time. Start doing it on the side. Start doing it on the weekend. Start doing it in the evening. Start doing it to get into the energy of doing. And life, adjusts itself accordingly. I've seen it over and over and over again. The universe corresponds to the vibration that you are living in.
Right.
So it's not just thinking about it or, but actually getting into motion. For me, getting into joy. If that means I go to the mountain, once a week to ski, because that gets me into joy. And I know that energy is what brings in more clients to my company, and it all works out in the end. Great. I'm taking a day every week to go do that. And I know not everyone has the luxury to do that, but whatever that is for you, a walk in the park, or, get on the floor with your kids and get messy. Whatever that is, to get into the energy of flow, to get into the energy of warmth, to get into the energy of who you want to be and the life you want to live, you have to start doing it and stop thinking about it.
So I want you to tell first, I'm so honored because I've been able to work with you, like get into like how you channel and how you bring this through to help rebrand and connect and elevate a brand. But you also start from like idea area as well. You can lean in with someone and help them uncover really what they are passionate about if they don't know.
Totally. Yeah. The process I take people through is really, looking back in order to look forward. I believe that everything that's happened in your life, is for a reason, and it's all leading you here, and here is right on time. I've said that to you before. Like, it truly, there's no coincidences that you come from the family that you come from, or you go through you feel the feelings that you feel, or, you've persevered in the way, whatever it is, right? Like, I so believe that if you have gone through some darkness, you are here to bring some light. And so
you can't have it without it.
You can't have it without it. And so everyone I work with, I'm always like, tell me the darkness, tell me the darkness, because it's so important. It's so important. And for the people who are like, I know that this corporate thing is not my thing, we dig into, well, what brings you joy? What used to bring you joy?
Right.
When do you feel, it's really, let's get to what feels warm. Some people are like, I love musical theater, but I'm also, a project manager in a marketing firm. It's like, all right, what can we create here that combines your skills and your love?
What is maybe your most favorite client that you help create?
Oh my God, there's so many.
I know because I've met so many, and like, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just feel like where you got to be like, it was so juicy.
I mean, I will say my first client ever is like the one that goes down in history. Her name was Patricia Moreno, and it was her practice, Intensati, that changed my life, that allowed me to wake up and break open. So being able to work with her brand, with her, like, was the honor of my life. And she's passed. She passed away last year, and her legacy lives on. We do the enchantment experience with Lucy, who now runs Intensati. She was Patricia's partner later on in life. And so, Patricia, of course, but also, we've just rebranded Mount Madonna, which is like this 40-year-old Hindu temple in Santa Cruz that, the wanted to keep like the necessity of the sacredness of the lineage, but also wanted to bring in more people and really be on that level of Kripalu and Omega. And so that was really amazing. We led them through this 2-day intensive with like 16 people in the room. And that's cool. I also love, at the way that Ali and I work, it's we do branding from the inside out. So for our larger clients, we worked with a venture capital firm in Greenwich, Connecticut, and brought our Tibetan bowls and led them through a sound bath to get grounded. And these are a bunch of, white cis men, and they were down for it. Right. And so I love all of that. Yeah. I mean, also some of my old pharma client, like, we work with so many people in health and wellness and personal development, and I love them all. But now, after 11 years, it's the more differentiated clients that I'm like jazzed up by. But of course, we have a client out, the last one I'll say, Dr. Will Bolshewitz. He came to us like a gut health doctor, gastroenterologist who is vegan and wanted to like create this whole platform around his veganism. And we created this brand for him: the plant-fed gut, the plant-fed life, the plant-fed marriage, the plant-fed dinner table, all
amazing.
And he wrote a book, hit number 6 New York Times bestseller. Just such a celebratory, because really with him from the beginning, and was just such a delight. And more than anything, watching him step up and step in to the version of himself that he needed to become in order to be that New York Times bestseller. I
really love, so just because you're such a channel, and how you really lean into support other people to really shining their light in a magnitude that is helping thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You're the girl to work with. Like, you are the girl to work with.
Well, it's such an honor. Again, we do very little marketing, if any. And I always say, like, if you've landed in front of my Zoom screen, you are ready. Like, you are ready to go from one to one to one to many. You are ready to step into the footprint you're meant to have. And the gift that I have is really just, I see people clearly, not, beyond whatever limitations, in language or whatever that they're dealing with. And I just see the ultimate of where they're going and what they can stand for, like what they came to this planet to be, like, no pressure. And so I'm able, like, very plain as day, to be like, oh, well, this is you.
Yes.
Clearly.
Yeah. And that's, that's kind of like how I can lean in with my readings, especially when I do like a soul map reading, because I can go to that place with them that where their soul is like shining the brightest, and then I'll help them to navigate where they are to like really illuminate that, to become that. So it's super fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this was so much fun to hang out with you and just to deep dive and get to know Michelle more.
Oh, I adore you. I adore you. I adore your people. You are just such a light, such a love, such an unconditional love.
Thank you.
On this planet.
So I know you're going to have so much fun skiing, and I can't go skiing anymore. I am never going on the ski slope. I've made this promise to myself. I said, literally, we just spoke about this, which is hilarious. My husband and I have been married 37 years, and I grew up skiing. My dad's from St. Albans and Vermont, and so we every year we went up to Vermont to stay with my grandparents in Montpelier and go skiing at all the places, and all of his aunts, and I mean they all skied. But I said, "Do you want to go skiing again?" He's like, "Do you?" And I was like, "I don't." And he's like, "I don't ever want to be that cold again." I'm like, it's so funny. But, you know, I think we did it, and we loved it. And we love our hiking. We love our little adventures. We've been going on tons of hikes lately, finding new places.
You go where it feels warm, literally and figuratively.
Yes. Maybe go with the Arizona girl for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So tell everybody where they can come hang out with you and go on your day.
Yeah. So you can find all things Soul Camp Creative. If you have a big idea, if you have a story, if you have a message within you that you know is meant to get out to more people, soulcampcreative.com, www.soulcampcreative.com. That's all things branding, messaging, getting you out there in a bigger way. And then our next big event, enchantmentexperience.com, enchantmentexperience.com. And that is all about Costa Rica, happening in June.
Nice.
So anyone listening wants to go to the jungle.
I want to come. Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to love this episode. Michelle has played a vital part in my rediscovery of my brand and helping me to get some clarity on who I am. She's an amazing soul, and definitely want you to go check out Soul Camp Creative and find out more about her. And let me tell you, if you're interested in showing up at one of my events as you fully are, I welcome this. I welcome you to come with all parts of you, the parts that are messy, the parts that you feel are maybe unworthy or that you're embarrassed about, your grief. All of it is welcome, because it's there that spirit can work through me. God will work through me to help you to become that shiny person, that loving soul that you really are, to support others in whatever capacity that is for you. So we have some amazing events coming up. The links are below in the show note copy. You can head on over to my website, jeanniestreet.com, events, and you can get all of the details there. And I can't wait to see you in person. Have a beautiful day, my friend. And you know I know what I know, because angels don't lie.